Is first person in Arcane Odyssey PvP good? No, at least I don't think so. Quick motion sickness warning. This video can. There's a lot happening. It's mostly going to be me voicing over a bunch of clips that I've taken, and the PvP is not going to be the best you've ever seen. I, I'm new to first person, okay? Most of it was done on Speed Warrior, and I haven't touched it at all in main game, so my takes are purely for Elysium PvP only. If you're main game or a PvEer, do whatever you want, test it out for yourself, and let me know what you think if you want. Um, First, I'm going to go over my problems with first person, so hopefully you can get an idea for why I think it's bad, rather than just I'm another random person doom posting on YouTube saying how FedEx Games is bad. Um, the biggest issue is a bug, so it should be fixed hopefully soon, and then that will make it far more playable. But this is my biggest gripe currently. TP reflexes, they don't move your character correctly. I'll put a thing up on screen. It's really hard to actually explain it, but it's difficult to get any kind of fast movement, and you become really predictable because you're basically incapable of side dashing at all when you're in the air. You have to land and then dash to the side. That, or you can physically turn yourself and dash forwards, but then you're messing up your camera control. So it's not really that great. The next thing that I have to say is your character when you're in first person is completely visible. And it's really frustrating because constantly when you're doing any kind of moves or attacks and your player is doing their animations, they get in your way. It's it's a really big problem in some cases. It depends on the move and it depends what techniques you have, because you can change casting styles and such. Um, for most of the recordings of this video, I was a literal cancer patient just so I could see properly, because all of your accessories and stuff, they're visible when you're playing. So I had to toggle it all off. It was very funny. Um, I do understand why, on some level, that you are visible when you're in first person. I think it would feel a little bit unnatural if, when you're holding a sword and doing a flying slash, you don't actually see yourself doing a flying slash. But it still doesn't quite feel right to me. The bigger issue with this part, though, is magic circles. I haven't extensively tested this because what little testing I did do was not very enjoyable. Magic circles cover your entire screen, basically, if you're in first person. Um, if you're on a VFX heavy magic, especially, like if you're playing Magma, no chance that you can see what's happening. There's no chance. If I played on Crystal, I would not be able to see anything, right? And so it's really, I don't think things like that should be visible in first person, because it's just, if you want to play mage basically, or any magic class, you need your casting styles to be left leg across or left leg impact or right leg whatever, so it hides the magic circle until the very end of the animation and it doesn't completely blind you. This part, line of sight is something that I'm struggling with currently, because your FOV it's way smaller than what you're used to in third person typically, and I find it really difficult to get my brain used to that. I think some builds struggle with line of sight issues more than others. Like I said before, VFX heavy magics like Magma or any kind of size build, like if you're throwing at a seismic rift, I'm quite sure that would be rather blinding. Um, so it's a little bit difficult. And there are a lot of, again, as I said, animations and moves that are going to get in the way with this. So I'm not quite a fan of that. Additionally, to build onto that, some moves, like if you're a fighting style user and you're using Crash, or if you're a warrior and you're using Spiraling Fury, it doesn't feel very good to use because you can't, like, it's difficult to maintain good camera control and keeping your opponent where in your field of view when you're doing those moves, and it makes it feel not fantastic. Um, like, this is very much continuing off of that last point. My takes on tracking, it's a very much something that is skill based, but I think it's so much harder in first person. Tracking is basically keeping your mouse on top of your opponent as they're moving around. But this is like, it doesn't feel terrible. If you play shift lock a lot, it's very similar in some ways. If you're an FPS gamer, I'm quite sure you would be fine with it. But because of the complex movement in this game, you have things like crash, you have grabs, you have TP reflexes, barriers, Hasta, sword draw mirrored river, crushing judgment, all those kinds of things that are throwing people around the place. It's really, really hard to keep them in sight. And especially because you're in such a smaller FOV than you're used to, you're constantly looking around trying to just find the person sometimes. It has forced me into kind of just making a very turrety playstyle where I just kind of sit in one spot and spin in circles to keep them where I can see them. But that's not always the most fun, so it's, yeah. Another thing is that same with shift lock in first person, you have the same issue where you cannot look directly upwards. So it's really hard to punish after grabs and such. It's just a bit of a frustrating thing that some of your aiming is limited a little bit by the confines of that. Whereas if you're in free aim, you can point directly up and hit someone. But you can't do that because you can't free aim in first person, obviously. Onto some positives here. I think it's very fun. PvP, like, Arcane Odyssey PvP does not make me giggle as much as playing in first person does. I don't know why. It is something charming about it that is just really funny. It's super immersive, and it's probably the most engaging that I have ever been in PvP, right? Aside from the TP reflex bug, which does make me want to tear my hair out, it's really enjoyable, and there's quite a few things that actually feel really good to use. Like, I've been playing mostly on Warrior. Power Shot, it feels super satisfying and super natural. Like, I've never had an easier time landing power shots outside of NLAG than I have. Like, it's so good. It's really unique, I think, to add first-person PvP to this kind of a fighting style, I guess. And I think it was really cool. It's also super optional, which is something that I am a big fan of, right? It's not forcing you into one style. So overall, I guess it's really unique and really immersive, and I think it's really unserious, which for me at least makes the game far less stressful and way more fun. I definitely think you should try it out. Even if it doesn't go too well for you, I reckon you'll at least get some laughs. I still don't think it's nearly as good as PvPing in third person, but it's fun. So, like, who cares? Thanks so much for watching. Any feedback is appreciated in the comments. Bye.
Or you salted. I was just signaling the fight start.
No, that was 2 attacks.
They totaled 600 damage! Suck my balls!
No thanks.
Well, good thing I wasn't asking you to do it. You'd probably bite them off.
Right now? Potentially.
Dude. You know cannibalism is actually illegal?
And sometimes the shit's justified.
I think so.
Also,
Because I feel like who are you talking to?
Ame.
Can you hear Emma?
Yes.
What the fuck? How come
Can
I
you not?
server muted her? I server muted her
Dude,
for me.
she's been server
No,
unmuted this
you-
whole
You
time.
lowered my volume.
What the fuck?
That is not
She just
server
server-
muting.
she
you
just server
Personally
muted.
dumbass.
muted her. You personally muted
Oh,
her.
I personally muted her. That makes so much
You
sense.